my wife is Polish. My kids are half Polish, half American. Um, my son was just born a little over a week ago. My daughter's 2.5. Uh, you know, I want it to be a hard decision for them when they get older. Like, okay, I have these two passports. I have these two citizenships. Where do I want to live? Poland has been on the rise in so many ways economically, and I just think I don't want America to continue to decline to the point where it's an easy decision for them. Oh, I'll just live in Poland, right? Because Poland's on the rise, America's on the. I want it to be a hard decision for them. I want. Everyone, my name is Michael Hout. I'm a 29-year-old first-time Trump voter. It sounds weird to say, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I got here. So first, a little bit about me. I am a Georgia voter, which is good because it's a swing state now, but I'm a Massachusetts native. I went to college in 2013. I joined the Democratic Party more or less around 2012 in Georgia, when it was still a little bit, I would say, more red. And when I went to college at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, I immediately got involved with college Democrats. And within about a year, I was president of the chapter. Pretty soon after that, I was actively involved in the state chapter. I became vice president of the College Democrats of Massachusetts, and later became the national chartering director of the College Democrats of America, where I was tasked with chartering new chapters of College Democrats, state chapters and local university chapters. And all this came very naturally to me. You see, my family, originally from Massachusetts, my grandparents more Catholic, picture of Pope on the wall, picture of John F. Kennedy on the wall, and you see Kennedy, you think Democrats, right? So it was just sort of a natural fit. And I didn't really stop to think about what are my beliefs, right? It was sort of a natural draw by circumstance and thinking about the party historically, recent history, I guess, going back to the 60s, as opposed to thinking about where the party was in 2013 and on when I joined. So really between 2013 2017, I was very, very actively involved. Now, I did actually end up doing work on the Clinton campaign as a motorcade driver in 2016. So I did want to talk a little bit about that, driving people, even like Huma Abedin, other people you might be familiar with. And all throughout that about 4-year period, I was organizing phone banks. I was attending, different events, rallies, protests, you name it, organizing pretty big, door knocking campaigns, and taking groups of students up to New Hampshire, for example, other swing states, going down to Virginia, going to Georgia, different places to try to help the Democratic cause. So I was very actively involved to the point where probably I should have spent more time studying and less time being an activist, but I think a lot of students probably could say the same. And I ultimately came to the decision in 2017 to leave the Democratic Party. And I wrote a piece in the Washington Post in 2017 titled "Coming Out as Conservative: Why a College Democrat Left the Party." I guess it was something that happened because there was an article in another publication, and then it somehow spread, and I ended up getting reached out to, and decided I'd write this article. So I'm going to read some of it to you, and then maybe I'll talk a bit more. Apologize, my public speaking is a bit rusty because I'm no longer an activist. I'm just a writer now. So here it goes. And again, this is 7 years old. It's generally accepted that many college campuses are bastions of liberal ideology. There's a common perception, perhaps even a correct one, that this leads to a certain degree of indoctrination into the world of left-leaning politics, but my experience has been just the opposite. As someone who has spent his life moving between Massachusetts and Georgia, I've had exposure to Republican and Democratic politics in two states that could hardly be further apart in this regard. Coming to college in Massachusetts after being engaged in Georgia Democratic politics, I expected to be well within my comfort zone in and out of the classroom, but that was not to be the case. The more I studied and partook in various political efforts, the more conservative I felt compared to my classmates. The cold shoulder that I experienced from many progressive contemporaries due to my more moderate leanings fueled in me a desire to explore more conservative thought. I came to the realization that between my own long-held convictions, already reasonably conservative, and the disturbing trends I was noticing among my peers and in the party at large, namely their dramatic lurch to the left and the increasing focus on identity politics over substance, that I was not fighting for a party that welcomed my beliefs in an increasingly shrinking tent. When I arrived at the decision to leave the Democratic Party, however, I was no longer on the correct side of campus culture. I went from being a high-ranking college Democrat to someone who must obviously be racist and misogynist and bigoted. For what other reason could I possibly have to entertain conservatism? This decision, perhaps the most difficult of my life to this early point, was made over the course of a year or more of introspection, combing through perspectives of all sides in American political discourse. It was only as the sun set on the Obama presidency that I made the announcement I never anticipated, that I would be leaving the Democratic Party to become an independent, and later perhaps even a Republican. I never became a Republican. Like I said, I just voted for Trump for the first time, but I still am registered as an independent and likely will continue to be. To some, this may seem opportunistic, but I did not take this decision lightly. My feeling of isolation originated not with the discovery of my conservative sympathies, but rather with my inherent moderate ones. It was not enough to lead democratic organizations, to sit on the National Council of the College Democrats of America, to help found new chapters at Amherst College and the entire state of New Hampshire, for that matter. I appointed their executive board because they were dormant, as the national chartering director of that organization. No, what mattered was not loyalty to party, I found. What mattered was absolute devotion to the religion of dogmatic leftism. Many moderate Democrats just as easily could have been moderate Republicans, but these Democrats were rarely given the same opportunities or chances to succeed as their peers who were further to the left. Think about people like Joe Manchin as being the more moderate. Democratic socialists or social justice warriors. They were given more opportunities, is what I'm saying there. Now, many of those same moderates are expressing to me a desire to leave the party as well. Here's what I tell them. First, the Democratic Party needs moderates, so if you can stomach it, stick with the party and fight to move the conversation away from extremism and towards the center. America needs two sane options so long as we're in a two-party republic, with neither drifting so far away from the center that no compromise may ever be brokered. Second, putting it plainly, you do not want to be a conservative on today's college campus. You will likely be ostracized to some extent, assuming your institution of higher learning is the norm. You will almost certainly lose friends. I lost many, unfortunately, face bullying, and need to develop thick skin. I've experienced this, and I only came out as an independent. Others I've spoken to have horror stories worse than mine, attacked by fellow students, treated poorly by professors and administrators, accused publicly of racism, misogyny, or unintelligence, and we have all received threats at one point or another. All things considered, perhaps I had it pretty good as a moderate Democrat, but my personal convictions prevented me from continuing to reside in the party that it has become, let alone the one that is to come. This, of course, is a great irony. The so-called party of inclusivity that values tolerance above all else is extremely intolerant and wildly exclusive to ways of thinking that violate its delicate myopia. So that's just a part of that piece I wrote about seven and a half years ago. And I think a lot of it still applies, right? And I've not gone back to being a Democrat. Now, I said that this was the first time I voted for Trump. So in 2016, I was doing work on the Clinton campaign. I voted for her. 2020, by this point, I was an independent. I actually initially wouldn't do this again, donated to Biden, but I didn't vote for Biden. I wrote in a name. I didn't vote for Trump or Biden. And so this is the first time, just after seeing what's taken place the last 4 years. I've been to Israel 3 times, and a lot of the college Democrats, college Republicans go to Israel, and I've got friends there. It's just the situation there, I feel like, would not be where it is under a Trump presidency. The situation in Ukraine, my wife is Polish. My kids are half Polish, half American. My son was just born a little over a week ago. My daughter's 2.5. I want it to be a hard decision for them when they get older. Like, okay, I have these 2 passports. I have these 2 citizenships. Where do I want to live? Poland has been on the rise in so many ways economically, and I just think I don't want America to continue to decline to the point where it's an easy decision for them. Oh, I'll just live in Poland, right? Because Poland's on the rise, America's on the... I want it to be a hard decision for them. I want America to continue to be great, and I just think that 4 more years of Biden, which is essentially what Harris is. She's just the younger model, younger version, but probably the same people, pulling the strings behind the curtain. I don't think that that's what the country needs right now, or frankly, the world. And so that's what really compelled me to vote for Trump this time around, which, I certainly at some points never thought I would say. But these are extraordinary times. I think a lot of people that may not normally have considered voting for someone like Donald Trump are going to do so. I think just out of necessity, but also because I think a lot of what he talks about is good. I mean, it's not just that Harris is bad. Talking about government efficiency, things that I saw firsthand. I was a paid intern in the House of Representatives. I, knew members of Congress, and I got to see the inner workings of government and certainly campaigns over the years. And there is a ton of inefficiency and waste and all sorts of problems that I do think it's nice to hear Trump talk about that, or when he talks about bringing in Musk, or when he talks about bringing in RFK to address the health concerns that we all have, but we can't quite put our finger on. But that, frankly, we can't. A politician like Harris is never going to address, right? Because it goes against interests, powerful interests. And so, I'm excited to vote for Trump, and that might not make me popular, but frankly, when I announced I was leaving the Democratic Party, I lost most of the friends that would care about that anyway, I think. So, I would encourage everyone to, consider it, and consider what these past 4 years have been like, and, excluding COVID, what the 4 years prior to that were like. I really thought when I was working on behalf of the Democrats, I was heavily involved in gun violence work, right? Gun violence prevention work, going to conferences in different parts of the country for that. I was going to pro-choice events when I wasn't even sure that I was pro-choice. Now I was so passionate about this stuff, right? And I just got so disillusioned, right? Just seeing time after time hypocrisy, corruption, a lot of questionable behavior, and decisions and policies, and I really just want America to continue to be a great country. And like I said, I want that decision when my kids are older. They're too young now, but to be a hard one. Which country do I want to live in? I want Poland to be great. I want US to be great. I used to live in Germany as well. I want Germany to be great. And I just feel like these politicians that just want the status quo, they just want to protect these powerful interests. They don't want to, solve problems that would cause a mess, right? They don't want to, like, if there's some serious health issues and things that need to be looked into. I mean, it creates too much of a mess for them. They're not that bold, right? We need bold leaders again. I think back to Kennedy, the person that initially made me become a Democrat, right? Just seeing his picture on the wall and everything. He was bold, right? We're going to go to the moon, right? And we haven't been back since, right? So I just think we need someone bold, and I think the bold candidate in this race is Donald Trump. And anyway, I think it was really hard to leave the Democratic Party. Like I said, I lost a lot of friends, and it was something that I was so passionately involved with, and I worked so hard to do a good job, and I think I did have an impact for the time I was involved, but there's a lot I'm not going to get into in this short video because I don't want it to be too long, but I just think people really got to get beyond the who sounds nicer, which party sounds like they're better people, or like, you need to look at what is being done, right? What the effect is of the presidency, what the effect is of that senator or that congressman. And I think there are good people on both sides, but I just think the top of the Democratic Party right now is so captured by people who shouldn't be there, and are not looking out for our best interests, and are, I don't know if they're intentionally sabotaging the United States, but they're certainly not, they certainly do not seem determined to choose Americans' interests over, for example, Ukraine, for example, tens of millions of illegal immigrants, right? And I just think we need to fight back against that. So I hope some of this makes sense and helps someone, and just praying for the future of our country, and for, I guess, Donald Trump.
For more great videos, download the Walkaway Social app at walkawaysocial.com. Share your testimonial and join our community.